This episode of Driving with Gloves is totally different than the other episodes of Driving with Gloves I filmed before. Is it because I'm filming here on James Bond Street? No, because it refers only that Goldfinger was filmed here 60 years ago. No, this time I'm not driving with gloves, but I will ride with gloves. So let's put on my gloves, because this is the first episode of Driving with Gloves where I will review a motorcycle. Why do I do that? Because it is a very special motorcycle I'm going to review today, and it already existed, this model, when Goldfinger was filmed.
Yes, and it is true what I said before, because this motorcycle model was made like a gun and already existed for a few decades when Goldfinger was filmed in 1964, because the Royal Enfield Bullet was launched in 1932.
Hi, my name is Cor, and welcome to my channel Driving with Gloves. I always drive with driving gloves. Your question might be, why does he drive with gloves? And my answer is, why not?
I started my career on wheels with a three-wheeler like most kids do. I would still love to drive a three-wheeler, but I simply do not fit. Thereafter, as a Dutch child, it was obvious that I started riding a bicycle, and then, at a legal age, I could finally drive my passion, namely cars.
I love this car. This is a cool car. This is really a cool car.
But cars are not the topic of today's episode. No, today it is about the oldest still producing motorcycle company in the world, Royal Enfield. To be precise, this episode is about the Royal Enfield Bullet. And to be even more precise, the Royal Enfield Bullet was the world's oldest motorcycle in continuous production. If you compare it with cars, the Bullet is the Volkswagen Beetle under the motorcycles. But what I said is not correct, because the Beetle is actually like the Bullet and not vice versa. Because the Bullet existed earlier and was longer built than the Beetle, but both were air-cooled. The difference between riding and driving is the following. If it is motorized and you are in control, you are driving. So you drive a car, you drive a lorry, and the bus driver is driving the bus. So from that perspective, you might think that you also drive a motorcycle. But the moment it is not motorized or you are not in control, you are riding. So you ride a horse and a bike, and as a passenger you ride a bus. Further, it is common that if you are sitting on top of the machine, you ride it, and when you are inside the machine or behind an animal in a carriage, you are driving it. So Ben-Hur was driving and not riding his carriage, and I drove the Ape Vespa car. But I will ride a motorcycle. Although driving a motorcycle is uncommon, it seems not completely incorrect. What a complicated language English is. So, if it is not totally incorrect, Driving with Gloves is still a good channel for a motorbike review. In 1932, the first Bullet was introduced with a one-cylinder, four-stroke engine, so that was 6 years before the Volkswagen Beetle saw the light. And look what I have here, a Bullet with a four-stroke one-cylinder engine, which was built 85 years later than the first Bullet. And isn't she a beauty? Royal Enfield has a way longer history than Volkswagen, and even a longer history than Harley-Davidson. The predecessor of the Royal Enfield Company was founded in 1851 in Redditch in England, making sewing needles. In 1882 they started to make components for cycle manufacturers. From 1886 they even started to build complete bicycles, but it flopped in 1891. Further, there was a Royal Small Arms factory in Enfield in England. The factory produced British military rifles and muskets and was known under the madname Enfield. Use of the name Royal Enfield was licensed by the Crown in 1890, and the slogan became "Made like a gun." From 1896 the new Enfield Cycle Company Limited was founded. In the year 1899, Royal Enfield started to produce a quadricycle, effectively a four-wheeled bicycle with an engine, with a power output of 2 3/4 horsepower and a top speed of around 30 miles per hour, which is around 50 kilometers an hour. But after that, they even built real cars. But that's not a topic of today's episode of Driving with Gloves, because today's episode of Driving with Gloves is about a motorcycle, the Royal Enfield Bullet. In 1932, the first Royal Enfield Bullet was launched. The launch was something what nowadays is common, but was in that time unique. It was a virtual launch. Due to the Great Depression, the Olympia Motorcycle Show was cancelled, so the popular The Motorcycle magazine decided to publish a special edition where the 250, 350 and 500cc bullets were showcased to the world for the first time. So from 1932 until 2020, the Royal Enfield Bullet was built. So it was built for 88 years. In the beginning, the Bullet had a rigid rear end, therefore it had a sprung seat for the rider, which resulted in the iconic looks of the motorcycle. And this iconic looks was kept alive until the end of production in 2020 with the sprung saddle. After World War II, the Bullet received a hydraulic front fork, and Royal Enfield developed a fully incorporated swing arm framed rear suspension. In combination with the sprung seat, the Bullet is extremely comfortable to ride. Royal Enfield always made exceptional good and reliable motorcycles since the production of motorcycles started in 1901. It was therefore logical that the British Army used Royal Enfield motorcycles in both World Wars. In World War II, the Royal Enfield Bullet was the motorcycle of choice, and for the Royal Air Force it was the so-called Royal Enfield Flying Flea, but even the Royal Air Force ordered 3,000 Royal Enfield Bullets. Royal Enfield made the Bullet so good that they won almost every race after the war. In 1948, at the International 6 Days Trial, 2 Bullet riders won gold medals. In 1952, the exceptional rider Johnny Britton won the Scottish 6 Days Trial, and in 1953 he also won the International 6 Days Trial without losing a single point. This made the fame of the Royal Enfield Bullet indestructible. The Indian Independence Act in 1947 led to the fact that the new government looked for a suitable motorcycle for its army to patrol the country's border. The Royal Enfield Bullet was so incredibly good and so advanced and reliable by the late 1940s that the Indian Army was highly interested in purchasing Royal Enfield Bullets. In 1954 they ordered 800 of the 350cc model. In 1955 Royal Enfield Redditch partnered with Madras Motors in India to form Enfield India to assemble the 350 Bullet under license. By 1962 all components were made in India. In 1970
they stopped the production of Royal Enfield motorcycles in England, but by 1977, Enfield India started exporting the Bullet to the UK and Europe and other parts of the world. From 2009, the Bullet was equipped with an electronic fuel injection to make it Euro 3 compliant. In 2017, they made the Bullet even Euro 4 compliant, and the Bullet was equipped with anti-lock brakes. In 2020, it was the last year of production for the traditional Bullet. Since 2023, a new 350 modern Bullet retro style model was launched. Nonetheless, I am glad that I ride an original pre-2021 500cc Bullet today, because it is a piece of art. Look at this Indian craftsman who is painting the striping on the tank by hand. This is incredible, and it shows immediately the quality of an Indian Royal Enfield. People who know me know that one of my passions are cars. I'm not especially into motorcycles. What made me decide to review a motorcycle today? It is because I was fascinated by this bike a few weeks ago when I saw it by coincidence. At first, I fell in love with its nostalgic looks. Secondly, it was its sound. In real life, the sound is incredible, and that is way better than all these electric sewing machines driving by on the street nowadays. And the Bullet did not disappoint me at all. I started this episode on the James Bond Street in Switzerland. The vibrations of the Bullet made me feel shaken, not stirred. I felt a bit like Steve McQueen in the famous film The Great Escape. I really adored riding this fascinating motorcycle. I mentioned in 2 reviews of Driving with Gloves that I was riding a cannonball like the Baron of Munchausen, but today the Royal Enfield was made like a gun, but I rode it like a bullet.